Breakfast Show, and thank you for choosing us to start your day with. It is Wednesday, which also means time for us to turn our attention to our finances.
Yeah. Exactly. It's time for our weekly dose of financial advice. And today we're sitting down with the man who's taken his love for extreme mountain biking and turned it into a very lucrative career.
Once again, it's time for #MyMoneyStory with Expresso, where each week we sit down with someone who has excelled in their chosen field to learn more about their journey with money and also the lessons that they've learned along the way. Now, this morning we sit down with a man who must have the most comprehensive medical aid plan in South Africa. Andrew Neethling spends most of his time airborne on top of a bike or speeding down mountain slopes and goes by the name Needle. So today we learn how he threads his financial matters, and we also joined back in studio by our certified financial planner, Grant van Zyl. Gentlemen, good morning. By the way, how are you doing, Andrew? Good?
Great, yeah,
welcome.
Thanks for having me, yeah.
Such a pleasure, man. I got to ask you, man, the nickname Needles, what's that all about? Where does that come from?
It's when you go overseas, an Afrikaans surname, and no one can pronounce it, so they start messing that up. And then I've got pretty skinny ankles, so between Neethling and Needles and ankles, it just stuck. And yeah, from then on, it's basically how I was known. Even in magazines and articles, they would just go with Needles, yeah.
Well, you've adopted it. I love that, man. Needles, awesome stuff. Listen, we're talking about money. Very interesting. I mean, you've made a success about your chosen field, mountain biking. You love it. But what would you say is your very first memory when it comes to money?
Yeah, I was actually speaking to my parents about this because I also recall the same thing. My mom was pretty good at helping me save or giving us pocket money. And I saved up long and hard, and I bought this radio control car at the time. And it was like a red Beetle monster truck. I loved it. I can just remember how happy I was when I went to buy that thing, and my parents helped me save and obviously pitched in the other half or whatever it was. And I know I looked after that car way more than if I was just gifted it. So that's one of my first memories of money. Yeah,
and I think it's also, once again, a lesson learned at a very early age, Grant.
Yeah, totally. I mean, when you have to take that hard-earned money out of your own pocket to buy something, you're going to look after it completely different to your parents just end up giving it to you. So it's actually one of the best lessons parents can teach the kids.
Yeah, buy it yourself. Then you'll look after it. But taking a look at your career, the years that you spent doing what you're doing, what are some of the hardest financial or toughest financial lessons that you've learned along the way to enable you to be where you are today?
Well, apart from spending too much money on health insurance, which is key. You know, I luckily educated myself a bit on passive income and what to do with money, and I think my mom helped a little bit, the way she was, the way my dad was. He was a bit more balanced, having fun as well as saving. And I knew the money was going to come in hard and fast, which it did, as an athlete. And it is fun to spend it, but I quickly learned that it will dry up. It'll just stop. And I need to put something away, so I need to sort of invest. So I started investing in property and buying a house myself, and then I researched a bit industrial property, things like that I had a bit of know-how on. And that's what I learned hard is, as a sportsman, and maybe that goes to normal people, money might come in big, you might get a bonus, or you might get this. Maybe don't blow it all. You know, set goals, spend some, save some, go on a holiday with the other. You know, set some sort of goals and stick to those.
Goal setting. Yeah. Very important.
Yeah, it always comes back to goal setting, really, at the end of the day. Knowing your boundaries, understanding where the money is going to go, and just being disciplined with it and making sure you don't overspend at the end of the day. Just being content with what you have.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm sure there's a couple of questions maybe that you still would like to ask. I mean, we have our experts here on the couch, so think about it. So what is there that you would like to still ask? What is some of the things that you do wonder about money that you could possibly improve on in your own life situation?
I think it's twofold. Now I'm sort of more post-racing. The money's not coming in as hard and fast. So I want to know what to do with the money I've saved or earned, how to invest it, and then in business as well. So two things, what to do with that money, how to invest it, and then in business, how to protect myself on the cash flow side.
Okay, awesome. Cool. We're going to be answering that question in just a little bit. Right here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show, this is #MyMoneyStory.
My Feel Good Breakfast Show.
We are back with pro mountain biker Needles, Andrew Neethling, as well as our certified financial planner, Grant van Zyl, talking #MyMoneyStory. Gentlemen, once again, lovely to have you on the couch. You asked a very interesting question with regards to what you still would like to learn with regards to money. You say now that you're not so much on the racing end anymore, you know, money is not coming in hard and fast like it used to. What can he do with the money now to secure his future, Grant?
Yeah, so I think if I remember correctly, there was two prongs to your question. So the first one was, what do I do with my money now from an investment perspective to get a passive sort of income? And then from the business perspective, how do I manage my cash flow right? So I think the most important things regarding investments, and it sounds like you understand investments quite well. So the most important thing is to make sure you diversify. So there's different asset classes when it comes to investments, and you want to make sure you're in all those different asset classes instead of putting all your eggs into one basket. Because what happens is when economies go down and your eggs are all in equities, then things go pear-shaped. Whereas if you got a bit of property and you got a bit of fixed income and a whole bunch of different assets, then it balances itself out because the different assets work differently in different markets. So that's really important. And obviously you want to make this money work for you. So the more you can put away, the better it is, and the faster compound interest can kick in. Then from the business side of things, this is always an interesting question because basically what you're wanting to do is protect cash flow, really. And the biggest hindrance to cash flow is growing a business too fast. So what people do is they have this vision and this big dream, and what they do is they find the capital and they pop it in, and that's not necessarily the greatest thing. You actually want to start off small and grow it organically. Just let it grow one step at a time, and your cash flow will then automatically grow with that. Otherwise, what happens is you're putting yourself in a position where it's just from day one, you have to fight every single second of the day to make sure you get every cent you can get in to pay your accounts for the month. And that then turns your passion into something that becomes tedious and laborious, and it's no longer fun, nothing exciting. You don't really want to get out of bed in the morning to go do it. And that energy that changes will change the success story of the business at the end of the day, I think, personally. So I think from an investment perspective, diversification in the different asset classes, and then the cash flows, grow your business organically, not too fast, and do things, outsource where you can outsource. If you don't need to carry the cost, don't carry them, you know. And if it gets to a point where you learn that, you know, that coffee shop's actually doing really well, let's take it over. So you do things as you go along, slowly but surely. I don't know if that helps.
Andrew,
No, definitely. I'm launching into a bike shop and retail center and trail center. Passion of mine is bikes, and I want it to still be fun.
Yeah, but that's the
and
thing,
get more people riding, but obviously you've got to put food on the table at the end of the day as well. So I've got to mix those two, and that's, I think, great advice and makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely, and taking that advice, you know, you're still able to have fun because you got to love what you do, man. Yeah. And if you love what you do, you'll make that money. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I think passion follows success, you know. I mean, as long as you're doing what you love doing, you're going to make it happen, you know. And I think with your background and your education and the way you're continually educating yourself, you're going to always be in a safe place.
Yeah, awesome. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us this morning,
Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for the advice as well there, Grant. Love it. It's very, very good. So I hope you could take something away from this morning. But be sure we'll do it all over again next week as we sit down with yet another South African personality, finding out all about their relationship with money on #MyMoneyStory.